With joy that we meet again. Around the Gospel text for the week, our meditation text and draw from Matthew. Chapter 8 verse 18 to 22. What is this text about? And in this text, Jesus teaches his interlocutors a lesson. We have the scribes who ask him to follow him, but also another person whose name you do not know. You also ask to follow him. But each character to a concern when he asks to follow Jesus. So what title can we give to our text? The title is Following Jesus requires total commitment. There are many people who affirm the intention to serve Jesus. But these people do not realize that this involves a blow because it is a real challenge to take up. Especially for those who want to commit to a consecrated ministry. Following Jesus is a narrow path that requires self-denial because it requires taking up the cross as I am. Moreover, we are told we Mark chapter 8 verse 34. Let's now examine how each person who asks to follow Jesus behaves. First, the scribe or master of the law. I basically tell him that I will follow you wherever you go. Following Jesus must be done according to the principle of renunciation which characterized the master, that is to say, which characterized us. Jesus left everything to come to this world, a world so miserable and defiled that he will not find a place of rest there, and or therefore, he lived as a stranger. It happens that a disciple does not come down to rest his head, much less a personal habitation. This is what happens to the majority of Jesus's disciples who serve the Word of God. This is why here Jesus compares himself to the fox and the birds who have a fixed dwelling. Let's come to the second person. It was also second-person request to follow Jesus. But this person has a request that may seem strange to us, and they are asking permission to first go and bury their father. To Jesus to tell him, let the dead bury the dead, in other words, leave the spiritual dead. That is to say, the unbelievers and those indifferent to God worry about the things of the world than those who live spiritually, who have been called to be disciples of Jesus fulfill first and foremost the things of the kingdom of heaven, because these things are urgent. To pursue Jesus, you must not have your heart absorbed by the interests of the earth. So the interests of the world, however, Jesus does not say to refuse to honor parents. I do not say to his interlocutor not to go bury his father. On the contrary, to fulfill our family duties is not incompatible with the service of the Lord. But if a choice is necessary, it is necessary to place